Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Today, we're really jumping into the thick of it, the whole world of rugby rankings and results. We're drawing heavily from that Rugby Pass piece, the one about the Springboks potentially losing their grip. Our aim, give you that shortcut, get you totally up to speed, maybe share a surprising fact or two, and hey, before we get stuck in, make sure you hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession. You don't want to miss these.
It's a great time to look at this. The whole picture is fascinating. You've got this real knife edge battle to very top, but also like huge moves happening lower down. Teams making history. What's really key here is why these shifts are happening, the mechanics behind it all.
Exactly. It's not just a list of numbers, is it? It's about the story. Who's number one yet, but how secure are they? Who's coming for them? Okay, let's start at the top then, the Springboks. Right, so the sources confirm South Africa, they're leading the pack, 92.78 points, and, well, unless Italy pulls off something absolutely historic, they're staying there for another week at least.
But here's the interesting bit, the nuance the source points out. Why aren't they gaining points even if they win? It comes down to the ranking system itself, the relative weakness of the opposition this July. So beating Italy, even convincingly, it doesn't actually nudge their rating upwards right now.
And this is where it gets really strategic, doesn't it? The All Blacks. They're right there. They had that, well, maybe slightly shaky win against France, 31-27 in the first test. Now, if they beat France again this Saturday in Wellington, things change. That 1.8-point gap the Blacks have, it shrinks down to just 1.06 points.
Exactly. Because New Zealand would get points for beating France again, 0.74 points to be precise, while South Africa, as we said, gets 0 for another Italy win. So suddenly that buffer looks, well, pretty thin heading into the Rugby Championship.
Right. It highlights the whole game within the game, doesn't it? Match selection, timing.
It absolutely does. It's like a global chess match playing out. The All Blacks definitely have the box in their sights.
Yeah.
High stakes.
Okay, moving beyond that top two tussle, there's loads happening elsewhere. Wales, for instance. Tough times. Our source mentions they've slipped to 14th. That's their lowest ever.
Yeah.
Came after that loss to Japan, 24-18.
Yeah, a difficult run for them. But there's always a chance to bounce back in rugby. If they can turn it around against Japan in the return match, they could jump back to 12th.
Yeah.
That would also end a pretty painful 19-test losing streak. Talk about needing a win.
Definitely a story of resilience to watch there.
And it's not just Wales feeling these swings, What's also fascinating, as the source notes, is you've got teams like Chile and the United Arab Emirates. They're hitting their highest ever rankings. Shows real growth in maybe less traditional rugby nations.
Yeah, that global spread is exciting. And then there's the Rugby Africa Cup semifinals this Sunday. Huge implications there. Algeria, they're already at a record high, 54th. But get this, if they beat Namibia, they could rocket up like 13 places to 41st. That's massive.
It really is, and it shows the potential for rapid climbs. Conversely, for Namibia, a heavy defeat could see them match their lowest ever rank of 29th. So, huge pressure on both sides.
And the other semi. Defending champs Zimbabwe against Kenya.
Yep, and Zimbabwe will know that a big win, if Canada also lose to Belgium, could see them hit their best ever spot at 24th.
It just underlines how much competition is heating up across different continents. It's great for the sport.
Absolutely. Okay, before we dig into some specific match results and what's coming up next, just another quick reminder, if you're enjoying this deep dive, hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession. Don't miss out. All right, so beyond the ranking points, let's talk about the action itself. The sources highlighted some brilliant stuff from the World Rugby U20 Championship. Future stars on display. France U20 beating Argentina U20 pretty comfortably, 52-26. England U20 just getting past Australia U20, 36-33. That sounds like a nail-biter. And Georgia U20 drawing with Italy U20 19-0. The junior box looking strong too. Yeah, those U20 tournaments are such a good indicator, aren't they? You really see the next generation coming through. And it's not just the men's game making strides. Women's rugby is really progressing too. Some recent international results mentioned. South Africa women lost to Canada women 20-50, a tough one there. But then you had Brazil women with a big win over Colombia women, 58-7, and a much closer one, Trinidad and Tobago women just beating Mexico women 18-16.
Great to see that breadth of competition. And the schedule ahead looks packed. This Friday, huge game. New Zealand women, the Black Ferns, against the Australia women, the Wallaroos. And the source mentioned something about a 17-year-old making her debut for the Wallaroos.
That's right, a potentially historic debut against one of the world's best teams. Adds extra spice. And it also mentioned the Black Ferns are bringing in some 7 stars for that O'Reilly Cup match. That's always interesting, seeing how those skills translate.
Definitely. Also on Friday, Fiji plays Scotland. Then Saturday, you've got that Japan versus Wales rematch we talked about. Plus Brazil women taking on Netherlands women and South Africa women versus Canada women again. It just feels like there's exciting rugby happening everywhere, across all levels.
It really does.
Yeah.
And maybe that brings us to a question for you, the listener. With all this action, these results, these ranking shifts, what's catching your eye the most? Is it a particular team's journey? The U20s? The women's game? We'd genuinely love to hear what you think.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture? Well, you've got this intense fight at the very top. You've got historic climbs further down and just tons of thrilling matches. Rugby's buzzing right now. Hopefully this gives you that shortcut, that quick way to feel right in the loop.
Exactly. And stepping back, it's more than just points and scores, isn't it? It's about these narratives, teams pushing limits, the whole sport evolving. So maybe the question to leave you with is, which of these teams on the rise, or these developing rivalries, which ones do you think will really shape rugby's next chapter? Something to ponder.